Shard, Bernie Willie, Bill Matthews, Jimmy Davis, Dave Manella, Kirk Drum, Ron Randolph. Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Announcements, phones and pagers, if you have one, please put it on vibrate or turn it off. Appeals, if you disagree with the findings of this commission, you have the right to appeal it to the council. There are appeal cards over on my right here on the railing, and you can fill one out and turn it into staff. Speaker cards, if you wish to speak on any of the items on the agenda, please fill out a speaker card and turn it in to staff, and they will get it up here to us. Each side will have 10 minutes to speak on each of the items on the agenda with a 5-minute rebuttal. After your case is heard, please exit the building if you want to have a discussion. Don't go out in the foyer because the sound still comes back in. If you wish to stay for the rest of the meeting, please feel free to. Please rise for the invocation. Ms. Casabon.
Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come out tonight to do the parish business. Lead and guide us in all our decisions and guide us safely home. In Jesus' name, amen.
Mr. Willie.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, on the minutes of last month, there's, we need to postpone it till next month. There were some changes that needed to be made, so I'll entertain a motion to postpone the approval of the minutes until July.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Matthews, seconded by Mr. Hines. Please vote. Motion carries. Staff, we have any cases to be?
Mr. Chair, that should be in line 9A.
Okay.
It showed that he
Did-
abstained instead of.
Okay, all right, good deal, because every now and then we have little gremlins that get in these things, so just wanted to be sure. All right, staff, we have any cases that need to be postponed?
No, we don't. Just case number 1. Just want to make sure that if there's anyone in the audience, it's been withdrawn. ZCO 103-028.
The first one's been withdrawn?
Yes.
We don't need anything, do I have a motion or anything, right? We don't need a motion or anything to directly, okay. All right. All right, the next item, since that one has been withdrawn, is item number 2, zoning case 08-02-008, major amendment to the PUD, Plan Unit Development Overlay. It's 119.56 acres. The petitioner is Kelly McHugh. The owner is Forest Lake Estates, LLC, parcel located on the south side of Louisiana Highway 22, west of Cope Road, Ward 1, District 4. Staff?
Petitioner is requesting a major amendment to the PUD to reduce the current number of residential units from 152 to 148. The reduction of the number of residential units will result in a reconfiguration of some of the lots, a decrease in the density, and an increase in the total percentage of green space. And staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty and Honorable Commission. Jeff Shane of the Jones Fussell Law Firm in Covington, and I represent the petitioner and owner, which is Forest Lake Estates, LLC. The request before you this evening is a major amendment to the PUD for a subdivision known as Coquille. It's not often that I bring a proposition to you that I think really only produces nothing but positive attributes for probably all concerned. The staff report, I think, well summarizes what we're doing, but in short, we are eliminating some garden home lots and replacing them with larger lots. It actually decreases the density ever so slightly in the subdivision. Green space increases a little bit, not much. I would want you to know that after discussing the case with the councilman, we sent letters to each of the families in the subdivision. We have had some discourse with some members in the subdivision that were very pleased with this proposed amendment. And I think, assuming there's no one in the audience here this evening at interest, and there may be, but I wanted you to know that our proposed change has been received very positively by those that live in the subdivision. So unless any of you have any questions, I will wait to see if there are other comments from the public or questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Shane. Anyone in the audience wish to speak against this item? All right, I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. We have any comments by any of the commissioners? Ms. Casabon?
Yes, this is, yes, anytime that we have a reduction in lots and an increase in green space, it's a positive thing. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Casabon to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hines. Any further discussion? Mr. Davis?
Yeah, Jeff,
Yes, sir.
so this is gonna be built in the right order, though. One's already done, you're gonna do 2, 3, then 4 on the phases?
Yes, well, the subdivision, I think all of the infrastructure.
It's already in.
Just phase
So
one's
just
built.
phase one,
Yeah, there's
then you
probably,
get-
what, about 30 homes? 30 to 35 homes?
Right, so.
Yes.
Okay, I was just looking at phase 3 at the very end, how it drops from flood zones C
Oh,
to
yeah, well, that-
A10. That's a heck of a drop, huh?
Correct, and that's not
I mean,
something,
I didn't get a chance to go out there, but I mean, is it like a really pretty high drop there?
pretty good fall. You're going to the south toward the lake.
Okay, and those
we
homes,
And we understand that'll be a different set of problems for another day.
okay, thank you.
All right, any commissioners, any other commissioners have anything? We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 3, zoning case 13-07-046. Existing zoning is A1 Suburban District, proposed zoning A1 Suburban District, and MHO Manufactured Housing Overlay. There's 2 acres. The petitioner is Cheryl C. Vaughn. The owners Christine and Thomas Early. Parcel located on the west side of Louisiana Highway 1077, north of Bennett Bridge Road, south of Willie Road, being 11225 Highway 1077 Folsom, Ward 2, District 3. Staff?
The 2025 Future Land Use Plan calls for the area to be developed with residential and agricultural uses. There is a mobile home directly across the street from this location and several more in the vicinity. Staff does not object to the request for the mobile home overlay and recommends approval.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Willie.
Mr. Chairman, yes, this is very compatible to the area, so I'll move for approval.
We have a motion by Mr. Willie to approve, seconded by Mr. Davis. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Page 2, item 4, zoning case 13-07-048. Existing zoning's NC4, Neighborhood Institutional District. Proposed zoning ED2, Higher Education District. It's 1.644 acres. Petitioner John Poussin. Owners Christ Episcopal Church. Representative Bert Duvick. Parcel located on the south side of Christwood Boulevard, east of Louisiana Highway 21, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
The 2025 Future Land Use Plan calls for the area to be developed as a planned district with a mix of single-family residences and conservation areas. The proposed site is bound on the east by Christ Episcopal School and on the west by an undeveloped parcel of land zoned NC4, which is a neighborhood institutional district. Staff feels that the requested zoning change is appropriate for the site. Note that, as shown on the attached drawing, the site will be used as an athletic field for Christ Episcopal School. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
Good evening, Chairman Doherty and Commissioners. My name is Bert Duvick, 1326 South Yankee Avenue in Covington. I am here on behalf of the petitioners, Christ Episcopal Church and Christ Episcopal School, with Christ Episcopal Church being the owner. As staff has detailed in your packages, we're requesting a spot zoning adjustment of 1.644 acres from NC4 to ED2. This abuts ED2 where our school sits now. And what we're attempting to do is we're attempting to put a running and walking track with a soccer and lacrosse field in the center. When the comprehensive rezoning plan of 2010 it rezoned us from institutional to NC4, which doesn't permit the tip of the track to be in NC4. So we're essentially requesting a spot zone change of 1.6 acres so we can fit our track in. And I respectfully request your approval of this, and if you have any questions, I'm certainly here to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this item? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it to the commission. Ms. Casabon.
Yes, this is compatible and necessary for them to complete this, and I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Ms. Casabon, there was a motion to approve?
To approve.
Okay, do we have a
And
second?
Mr. Lawrence seconded.
Hug seconded. All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Item 5, zoning case 13-07-049, existing zonings A4, single-family residential, proposed zoning, single-family residential and manufactured housing overlay. It's 1 acre. Petitioner Cynthia Williams, owner Cynthia Williams. Location is a parcel located on the south side of Earl Abram Road, east of US Highway 11, Ward 8, District 14. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be used for residential uses, which include mobile homes. There's an existing mobile home on the site and several in the vicinity. Staff does not object to the request and recommends approval.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Please
I'd
state
like
your name.
Cynthia Williams, and I'd
Okay.
like to put a mobile home on this property. It is in my names.
Okay. You have anything else to add?
No, it's used for residential, and I'm just updating my mobile home and stuff like that.
Okay. There's just one mobile home on this property, right?
Yes, right
Okay.
now.
All right. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? All right. I'll close the floor to the public and bring it to the commission. Mr. Lawrence.
Yes, the staff comment was, is there's a mobile home on the site now?
Yes, there is.
So this would be 2 mobile homes, or is this a replacement mobile home?
This will be 2, but I will be moving into a replacement mobile home, and I was gonna renovate remodel the other one I have there on the property, and let my grandson have it.
Okay.
He can live in it.
This is 1 acre?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Davis?
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
do you have any intention on building 4 different parcels on that piece of property with manufactured houses?
No,
Just 2?
just those 2, as far as I know.
The road would be shared between the 2 parcels? I see you
Yes.
have one road that goes to your parcel next to your mobile home,
Right.
correct? So they'll be using that same road. There's no need to build another road inside of your property line to go to the other location?
Right, we should use the same one.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move be approved.
Mr. Hines, motion to approve, seconded by Mr. Davis and Mr. Randolph. Had 2 seconds on that one. Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6 is zoning case 13-07-050. Existing zoning is I-1 Industrial District and I-2 Industrial District. Proposed zoning is NC6 Public, Cultural, and Recreational District, 4.61 acres, and I-1 Industrial District, 4.13 acres, and I-2 Industrial District, 19.17 acres. The total is 27.91 acres. Petitioner is Jeff Shane. The owner is JFS Business Park LLC, parcel located at the end of Johnny Lane, north of J.S. Smith Avenue, Ward 9, District 14. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be used for conservation purposes. The 4.61 acre parcel requested to be zoned NC6 is currently zoned I-1. The change to NC6 would allow for recreation and cultural uses, which would be more in compliance with the objectives of the 2025 plan than the current industrial zoning. Second, the 4.13 acre parcel requested to be rezoned to I-1 is currently zoned I-1 and I-2. This request would create a decrease of the intensity of the existing zoning. Finally, the portion of 19.17 acre parcel requested to be zoned to I-2 is already zoned I-2 and has a portion that's already zoned I-2 and abuts industrial zoning on two sides. Staff does not object to the three requested zoning changes and recommends approval for all three.
Thank you. Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Again, Jeff Shane of Jones Fussell, and I represent JF Business Park LLC, the owner and developer. This is what will eventually be Phase 2, the Johnny F. Smith Memorial Business Park on the west side of Highway 11, north of I-12, near the Pearl River community. As you can see, the zones that we request for the most part are a down zone or a reallocation of the zoning that we currently have. You might be interested to know that the NC6 is needed, similar to another case that I had before you a few months ago, so as to allow for some ball field use on the NC6. We can't do those things on the industrial zone. And we have a gentleman that's actually in a building already on Lot 8 in Phase 1 where this track abuts his property to the rear. It's going to allow him to obviously have the ball field there. It's I'll call it a training academy for not knowing exactly what he does. But that's the reason for the NC6. The I-1 and the I-2 already really have a presence in the park, and this we think is a better configuration for our future development. I might add that and I just say this because I know you ladies and gentlemen wonder sometime about the reason for some of the zoning changes, and I would ask you to consider in your work sessions and discussions with councilmen, the need for the I-2 is not so much always for the intensification of use, but for the ability to have more square footage in our buildings. So I just mention that because it's one of the things that we're finding not only in this business park, but in others as well, that as we're planning out the park, we know that in order to attract customers that may have certain square footage needs, actually the more intense zone is the only way we can do it. So in this case, I think the 19 acres is well situated for I-2. My point is it could end up being an I-1 use on that I-2 parcel, but with a building that will allow us to go beyond the square footage of the current I-1. So I think you're going to see more and more of that, but I do know that the parish is looking at some possibilities of maybe new legislation that might provide some other opportunities to accomplish the same objective.
Thank you, sir. I've thought about that quite a few times in the last 3 to 4 months, because some of our zoning, I think, needs to be changed, really, especially in industrial.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Is anyone else in the audience who wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Randolph.
Yes, sir. I took an individual tour of the area, and I was very, very impressed with the layout of the industrial park. But what I like most is the opportunity to reduce from I-1 and I-2 to NC6 for a recreational facility. And I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, would you like to put a motion on the floor?
I'd like to put a motion on the floor to.
I'll second
by Mr. Randolph to approve the NC6, seconded by Mr. Hines. Mr. Matthews.
Jeff, if you would, please.
Yes, sir.
Well, I too like the NC6 portion of this, but this is a massive increase in I-2 and a serious reduction in I-1. While I know you were saying that it's possible to have I-1 use in the I-2, but there's also a very good likelihood that you'd have an I-2 use in the I-2. And it's smack up against A2 on both sides to now have I-2 industrial zoning abutting A2. And I think historically, we've all agreed that that's not a good idea. If what we need is a different zoning classification, you know, an I-1A or something like that, then we may well need that. But I just don't like this massive infusion of I-2 up abutting the A2 zoning, and I just think it's a bad idea to do that.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Mr. Hines?
Have you been over there to look at it?
Don't need to do that.
Okay, I think you do, because I can tell you right now, this is all industrial in that area. And there is some I2, I mean, there's some A2 in there, I understand that. Okay, but you need to go look at it before you make that statement. I'm sorry.
Is A2 abutting what will be I2?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
The map shows that.
That's what you said.
The map shows that.
Okay. It might be, but go look at the A2 and the I2.
Okay, all right. Mr. Randolph, you have your light on?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second to approve. Please vote. Motion carries, 7 yea, 2 nay. Item 7, zoning case 13-07-051. Existing zoning is I-1 industrial, proposed zoning is HC2 Highway Commercial District. It's 1.397 acres. This comes to us by the Parish Council motion of 6-6, parcel located on the south side of Ronald Reagan Highway, west of Phillip Drive, Ward 3, District 3. Staff?
2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with a mix of commercial uses. There's an existing warehouse on the site. Staff does not have any objection to the requested zoning change from I-1 to HC2 at this location, considering that the south side of Highway 190 bypass corridor is developed with a mix of commercial and industrial uses, and would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it to the commission. Commissioners, Ms. Casabon.
Yes, this particular area, this is compatible. I concur with staff. I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Ms. Casabon to approve, seconded by Mr. Willie. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8, zoning case 13-07-052, existing zoning's A3 Suburban District, proposed zoning's A3 Suburban District, and MHO Manufactured Housing Overlay. It's 2.5565 acres. The petitioner's Juan Allison Garza. Owner is Juan Allison Garza. Location is partial located on the east side of Pace Street, south of US 190. Business, Ward 8, District 14. Staff?
The 2025 future land use plan calls for the area to be developed with a mix of residential uses, including mobile home, and staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please come forward, state your name and address.
My name is Juan Garza. My address is 1512 Beach Street, Slido. I purchased the land about 4 years ago, had plans to build. Economics didn't quite work out, second build. Plan C now is to, if we can get a manufactured home out there for my family to move into. I'd appreciate the approval.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? I'll close the floor to the public, bring it back to the commission. Mr. Matthews.
Excuse me, Mr. Gonzo? Would it be fair to say that you have a long-term plan of putting a stick-built house on there, or?
That's what I would like to do eventually, build a stick build if
Okay.
all works out well.
I move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Matthews, seconded by Mr. Davis. Ms. Casabon, I saw your light on. Okay. Any further discussion by the commission? Please vote. Motion carries. Item 9, zoning case 00-03-020, major amendment to a PUD, Plan Unit Development Overlay. It's 148.71 acres. The petitioner is WBB Realty LLC. The owner is WWB Realty LLC. Representative is Wayne Burris. Parcel located on the west side of Louisiana 1085, north of Louisiana Highway 21, Ward 1, District 1. Staff?
The major amendment to the PUD consists of an addition of 34,914 square feet of green space to the rear of some of the lots located on the south side of South Cornish-Dulac. The request will create a slight reduction of the total acreage of green space from 47.78 acres to 46.48 acres. And note that the reduction of the green space will not affect the 100-foot buffer along the southern boundaries of the subdivision, and staff would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. Anyone here in the audience to represent Mr. Burris?
I took a look and actually drove back because I didn't know how developed that was. And it's only houses on that, it might be 6 or 7 of those houses on that particular, what was the street that they named? And they just leave in the buffer. And I didn't really see, I didn't see a lot of I mean, they're working on it, but I don't see a problem with this. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, let me close the floor to the public, and I'll take your comments then, from the commission.
Is there anybody?
Mr. Hines?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Ms. Casabon to approve, seconded by Mr. Hines. Mr. Matthews?
Well, as I understand what they're doing is they're adding some land to these lots. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And whoever drew out the subdivision initially was going to actually cut off this little bit of green space. There was almost no way to get to it. So it's an intelligent thing to be doing.
Yeah.
You're adding some space to these lots, but these people that own the lots are now going to be the ones taking care of it. Instead of the subdivision trying to get back there and take care of it.
And they didn't mess with our buffer. That's one
No,
of the
no,
things I wanted to
and
check
that's
with.
that's
Yeah.
part of the problem, because that buffer's there.
Right.
You can't get through the buffer to get to
Right,
this little bit of
right.
green space.
Right.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion by the commission? Please vote. Motion carries. Thank you. Any old business needs to come before the commission? Any new business? Well, I'm gonna say it's 6:35.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you.